All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Mainly Hoops podcast, where we're continuing on with the SEC transfer portal. We got South Carolina we're covering tonight. South Carolina made quite a bit of moves, but we're going to start it off with Marcus. Who was your favorite player that South Carolina got this year, if you have one?
It's a great question. Like what version of Michi Johnson are we getting? I think is the number one question. Is he going to be playing? I don't know. Like he's there. He's gone from Ohio State to South Carolina, back to Ohio State, now back to South Carolina. It's truly a mystery what we're going to get out of Michi Johnson. And like, I guess on the surface, like the last time he was good was at South Carolina. So I guess I'm going to say Michi Johnson is their best get. He's been around for what feels like now, like 17 years. It feels like he's like the Perry Ellis of this generation. And I guess like I said, it was the best version of him that we've seen when he was at South Carolina, like averaged right around 14 points. He was first team all SEC, wasn't he, that year? Or he was on one of the teams, I'm pretty sure. Like he had a 21% assist rate. He had a really good year that year. South Carolina surprised everybody and made the tournament as like a 7 seed, was it? And then they got walloped by Oregon.
Yeah.
So who they played. So I guess I'll go with Michi Johnson, but not really a fan of their portal season really at all.
Cody, who's your favorite transfer? Do you agree with Marcus?
I guess I would agree. I think he's the most important piece when it comes to actually creating offense off the bounce, because they brought in Mike Sharp-Jumps, who's also at his fourth school. What was he? Dayton, San Francisco, Utah, then here. So, and he's more of a, I don't know. He's always been a guy who has had upside. Just because I think people just like the looks of a 6'9" point guard that was a really good passer, but he's really struggled as an advantage creator throughout his entire career. Just the handles and the burst just isn't there. As far as he's a talented passer, like I mentioned, and can fit passes in tight windows. But overall, I think Michi Johnson is going to have to, create a lot of the offense. He's going to have to operate in pick and roll as a scorer, in isolation, late in the clock, operating in transition as a scorer. He's going to have to carry like a large load of the offense, because there's not many pieces that project to really do that, unless obviously they're, freshman 4-star Eli Ellis is coming in, and then there's some 3-stars that could potentially play a role. But as of now, for as far as I know, Michi Johnson's going to be the guy with the ball in his hands looking to score almost exclusively. So, and he's struggled with efficiency at points in his career. Like you mentioned, in 2023 was his best season. Still wasn't really all that efficient. I mean, a 49.3% true shooting percentage isn't great, especially for, a number one option. And he's just struggled to kind of score at the rim throughout his career. He has a, versatile perimeter scoring game. He can score off the bounce, can score on the move, off the catch. But just as like a main offensive option on the perimeter, it doesn't seem great right now for South Carolina.
Marcus, any other transfers that stand out to you? I know you said you weren't a big fan of the transfer moves, so.
I just feel like a lot of the moves they made, just like they don't really have traits that really move the needle. That's kind of how I've looked at it. Like they brought in Norden Kapic from UC San Diego. Like he's like an undersized big that shoots the three a bunch. Not super efficient though, like 31% on 167 attempts last year. Struggles to kind of finish at the rim. Like he was solid on the defensive glass last year, but I don't think he's going to have the same success in the SEC. And then like Essendoko coming from Providence, not super high on. He's decent on the glass, but just kind of another like not great player. Like I don't know, like eye test wise, just watching him, it's just not super pleasing to watch, I guess. But I don't, and he's also like not a good decision maker at all. Like 25% turnover rate on like sub 20% usage. So I don't know. I'm just not a fan.
Cody, let's hear your thoughts about the other transfers and if any stand out.
I'll just say a couple good words about Esendoka real quick after he just got slammed. But
Yeah.
I think he fits the Lamont Paris defensive scheme at the very least because he is a good rebounder and it's a primarily drop coverage defense and pick and roll. The bad part is he can really only play drop coverage because he can't really play at the level. He's just a limited mover in space. But I think as like a rim deterrent, I think he's okay in that area. Is it like above average SEC level? No. But I think this is like the best scheme for him. There's going to be a lot of responsibility on him as being the anchor and playing in drop coverage, but he's going to play a pretty big role on this team as well because there's a lot of concerns on the bench right now. I think Jordan Butler is probably the backup center right now, and he's sort of a work in progress himself. And there's really no other center on the roster unless Lamont Paris wants to play Kapich at the 5, which he played a lot at the 5 at UC San Diego in a much different scheme. And I think Kapich was more of a beneficiary of the UC San Diego rim denial scheme. He's not really a defensive anchor in a drop coverage scheme. So overall, yeah, there are concerns with the front court from a talent perspective, from a little bit from a fit perspective with Kapich anyway. So, I mean, guys like Elijah Strong and Kobe Knox are a couple other guys that are going to be coming off the bench as not 3-and-D pieces, more just catch and shoot options to help out guys like Michi Johnson and Sharv Jumps as playmakers, just to kind of open up the floor. But overall, yeah, it's when you have to replace a lottery pick like Colin Murray-Boyles and some other pieces there, like Nick Bringle has been a really serviceable big his entire career. And, some guys with upside like Zach Davis as a wing defender. I just don't think Lamont Paris did the greatest job of replacing those guys, although it is pretty tough to replace a guy like Murray-Boyles, who is a once in a decade, maybe even more, the prospect, I would say, at South Carolina.
Marcus, what do we expect from this team this next season?
Like they had a lottery pick and they went 2-16 in the SEC. It's hard to like say we expect better, right?
Not any better. Okay.
Also, like there's not much room to be worse. I don't know. I mean, I think about the same probably, right? Like they're gonna win. It's hard to win no games in a conference, right? Like DePaul's done that, and that's about it.
Missouri 2 years ago. Missouri 2 years ago did it.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is crazy.
Like maybe like they're gonna win one at least. Now, will they win one or two?
Book that.
Yeah,
they're gonna win one at least. They're not gonna be very good though. They're gonna be at the bottom. Like they're gonna be hanging out with some of those other like teams we weren't very high on.
Cody, any more than 2 wins, or what do you expect?
What I will say about the South Carolina group from last year is they were pretty unlucky in close games. Maybe that's sort of like maybe the talent down the stretch just couldn't win out against SEC competition, but they lost like a million games that were within 5 points. I don't have like the exact numbers, but I just remember I was betting on this team late in the season because they were so unlucky, and it actually ended up working out a little bit. But it is tough to say that they're going to be better than 2-16 just because of just the talent across the board on this roster. Like we talked about the talent that they had to replace, and just don't really think they did a great job across the board. And I just think it's going to be too big of a load on Michi Johnson from a creation standpoint to really gain any traction in this league.
Any final thoughts for the Gamecocks?
Said my piece.
Okay. Cody?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how many games they lost that were within 5 points. I think it was like 6 or 7 in league play, which is insane. They lost every overtime. Really tough stretch, and I think they're a better team than the 2-16 record that they displayed. But this is a different team, and I just don't expect a ton. They're firmly at the bottom of the league at this point. It's just the reality of it. I mean, I'm a Lamont Paris fan, so I kind of hope for a little bit better than what our expectations are, but it just doesn't seem all that great right now.
All right, we'll wrap it up for South Carolina here. As always, thank you for listening to the Mainly Hoops podcast.